Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this one, we are going to model this puddle. This is going to be quite interesting as we are going to model these large roundings on a cylinder. I believe this tutorial could be one of the best examples of how to utilize Ngons to create perfect flows around the details. This tutorial will also include UV unwrapping. This is the final UVs of this puddle. This was quite challenging and many people find it quite hard to unwrap non-uniform bottles. As you can see, the bottle narrows toward the top, and this is quite challenging to represent in the UVs, but with the workaround I will show you in this tutorial, you are going to level up your bottle game. Anyways, enough talk, now let's get into the tutorial. Let's start with a cylinder. I will add this one in. I will hit N and B to see the wireframes. Now let's adjust the height. 125 is going to be okay. Then I will set this to 6. This is going to give us these square polygons, which is exactly what we want. Now I will turn off the caps, then drop this cylinder under a subdivision surface. I will set this to 1. We need more resolution to add that detail in, so this is why I subdivided this object one time. You could also play around with the segments, but I just find this way easier. Then I will make this subdivision surface editable. This time around, let's do it differently. Instead of using a symmetry object, I will enable Symmetry Hub. This initially will mirror on the X, so yeah, I need to select these polygons. 8 polygons vertically and let's see, 6 polygons horizontally. I will hold down right mouse, then select these polygons, then delete them. By the way, let me turn this off, this work plane. Let's drop these objects under a subdivision surface. The first thing we need to solve out is the roundings. If I enable sub D, and if you compare the roundings, these do not match. We need larger roundings. To do that, I will grab polygon pen tool, hold down Ctrl, and add these triangles. I will hit Q. Yeah, now the roundings are looking way better. But in exchange, we are gonna get these triangles. Now let's find a way to get rid of them. Actually, the solution is quite easy as there are not many options. I could not dissolve out these vertical edges. If I do that, this is going to, break the cylindrical shape. So whatever happens, we should not touch these guys. We should instead dissolve out these horizontal edges because these do not anything to the actual shape of the cylinder. Like I can select them all and dissolve out and nothing is going to change. The only thing we need to do is select the proper edges to dissolve out. Let's hit Q, then let me show you the wireframes. I'm going to right click. I will select this as well and dissolve out these edges. As you can see, the flow is looking way better, but it is not perfect yet because I want my flow to go with the curvature or with the detail. So to achieve that flow, I will additionally dissolve out these edges as well. I know this is going to sound and look weird, but just look at the flow. I will first enable the subdivision surface, then dissolve out these edges. And here we go. Now the flow is going with the detail, with the roundings. Ctrl Z, I'm sorry, I made another mistake. First, I need to adjust these roundings. So I will select these edges by holding Shift. Then I will hit T and scale them on the Y. The reason is the length of these edges should be as even as possible. This one is looking larger than these ones, so I want to move these up. That should even out the edges, I hope. I'm going to hit Q. Okay, this is looking way better. Now let's do the same. Alt and Shift. Select these edges. Hit Q, then let's dissolve out these edges. Perfect. By the way, I will set this to 1. Now I need to even out these edges. I will double click on the edges. Then right click, equal spacing tool. I'm not quite happy with these polygons because, I keep talking about uniformity. I want these polygons as square as possible. To do that, we should add in a few more loops like these ones. Maybe on these polygons. Now I will include these edges as well. Hit Q equals spacing tool. Yeah, now we are talking. Just look at the sizes of these polygons. They are the same in size, more or less, which is perfect. Now let's make this sub-editable. I will call this back model, and let's drop this one into a new sub-D. I'm going to hit NNA and zoom in because I want to show you something. So basically, we'll get some artifacts around the roundings. I hope it's coming through the video, like here and here and here. To fix that problem, I will basically project this new mesh onto a perfect cylinder. This is why in the first place I subdivided this mesh a few times. So to do that, let's add in a cylinder. I will shrink that down, then increase up the rotation segments. As I said, this is supposed to be as smooth as possible. Then I will hide it. Then I will go into model mode, select the model, hold down shift and add in a smoothing deformer. Then I will add in another deformer, which is called shrink wrap deformer, and it should be below the smoothing deformer. Next up, I will drop that cylinder in the target object tab. The smoothing deformer will not do a lot to the shape, but I usually combine these two deformers together. The surface will be artifacts free. It's going to be as smooth as possible after I have applied these deformers. So let's do that. Right click, connect objects and delete. I will hit Q. And yeah, perfect. Now it is time to extrude these edges. I will double click on one of these edges. It is going to select the whole loop, right click, extrude these in. I'm going to hit T to scale these edges on the Y. Okay, now let's hit E. Right click on one of these axes and set it to world. Set it to normal. Then hold down Control, extrude these on the Z. Once I have done that, I will go back to the world coordinates, right click, select the world, hold down Control and extrude these along the X. Now I need to align these selected edges perfectly with the X axis because the symmetry is mirroring these on the X. So let's open up the coordinate manager, set this to world, find the X. First, I'm going to zero out the position of these edges. Then I will zero out the size. And here we go. By the way, do not count on the Symmetry Hub. The tool is not working properly. It is not fully functional, especially when you want to use Polygon Pen tool. It is quite prone to errors. So most of the time you will be better off with the symmetry objects. I just wanted to try something different in this one. Anyways, now I will flatten out these edges by holding Shift and scaling them on the Y. Okay, next up, let's scale this in. It seems like I locked one of the axes. If this happens, come over here and unlock the axis you locked. Scale these in. Hold down Control. By the way, let me turn off the Symmetry Hub. We do not need it. Scale these in by holding Control. Then I will apply Close Polygon Hole tool. I will set this to Patch and rotate these new polygons so that these polygons will align with the world axis, like the Z axis. Next up, let's do something cool with the bottom section. I will select the point, then I will come over here to the soft selection, enable it, set this to DOM, which will make the radius a little bit softer, then bring that down to, let's say, something like 40. I will move these up, turn this off. Next up, I'm going to again flatten out these edges. I want this part as even as possible. The reason is there will be change in the shape. Alt and Control, move that up, scale these in. Unfortunately, I do not have a blueprint to follow, so I will eyeball it. Maybe I can come over here. I know this is a very primitive way to mesh the size. Now let's bulge out these polygons. To do that, I will drop in a loop right in the middle, then enable the preserve curvature. Let's increase these up. I will increase up the tension. That seems fine. I will grab these, move these down, scale them up slightly. This area is quite important because this is where the rounding starts. So we should keep this area as even as possible. Maybe I could apply equal spacing tool just a little bit to these edges. If you scale them, it is going to do the same thing basically. Let's select these edges, Alt and Control, move these up. Hit T, scale these in, and one last extrude. Perfect. Now it is time to sharpen up the edges we want to sharpen. This is going to be quite easy with the help of the Bevel tool. I will just double click on these edges. Right click, Bevel. I will go into solid modes. Then also I will set this to uniform. Hit Q and bevel out these edges. Depending on what you want, you can play around with the offset. If you want something quite sharp, you can leave it like that. But I usually like to have smoother edges. This one is looking just perfect. Next up, I could drop in these loops. Let me turn this option off. Q and drop these in. Looks perfect. Next up, yeah, these edges. Perfect, except for this inner part. Somehow we messed that part up. I believe it was the move tool, the radius of the soft selection. Yeah, so let's fix it. It's going to be quite easy. I will just double click on these edges to make a fill selection. UNF, Alt and Shift, then delete these edges, polygons, points, whatever you have in the middle. Then right click, Stitch and Sieve tool, Alt and Shift, and match these matching points. It is going to be that easy. I will drop that loop in, back. Nice. I especially like that part. Nice and smooth transition. The only thing I don't like about the bottle right now is these parts. There is a mismatch. To fix that, I will double click and select these edges in the middle, then dissolve them out. I will move these up. Then drop that loop in, increase up the cuts, enable preserve curvature. Yeah, that looks just a little bit better. It is quite different than this one, but I like that version, so I will continue with this one. Now let's work on the lids, which is going to be extremely easy. Select these polygons, split them out. I will call these lids. Double click, move these up. One more time, scale these in. One more time, close polygon tool, rotate the new GUI around. Next step, I will select a point in the middle, enable soft selection, lower down the radius to, let's see, 20. Move that down. That seems too much. What about 19? Yeah, this is going to be it. Then turn these off, and you know what to do. Add these supporting edges. Let's turn this option off. Hit Q. It's not going to work because I need to group them. Alt and G. All right, looking really nice, which means that we are done with the modeling. Let me check the details for the last time. Okay, no errors or artifacts, which is perfect. The only thing I want to add in these edges, I keep talking about uniformity, so I could not just leave these polygons like that. By the way, this is not strictly necessary. This is something I usually like to do. I like to keep my meshes as uniform as possible. Okay, next up, let's unwrap the bottle. I will head over to the UV edit layout. I will go into polygon mode, select all the polygons. We need to clear out the current UVs, reset UV. By the way, we do not need to see the reference images anymore, so I will just move that off. Now let's select all the polygons. Then I will go into edge mode. I will select these sharp edges. I will use them as seams. Or we could use a shortcut to select all these sharp edges. We select and from break selection tool. I'm going to click on select all. It's not a perfect job, but better than nothing. I will just Alt and Shift to select these unwanted edges. I just want to grab these sharper ones. These ones are looking just perfect. I will hide delete. Okay. Next up, let's click on UV Unwrap. I just want to split these UVs into different parts so that it's going to be easier to work on them. Some of them will look really weird, like this one. The reason is that polygon island or UV island doesn't have a seam, doesn't have an exit point. I will just come over here and select these edges. You usually want to select the least visible parts as seams. Then I will open up the UV Unwrap option, then enable this one. Otherwise, it's going to unwrap everything. I just want to unwrap that selection. Click on, apply the tool, and here we go. I will move these off. Then let's work on another weird looking one like this one. You know what to do. Just select these edges, then click on UV Unwrap. Then I will apply UV Rectangularize tool. Move this off. Next up, this one. Double click first. Select the edges, UV Unwrap, UV Rectangularize, move off. Next up, this one. Again, this is a cylindrical shape. It needs an exit point. So let's follow these edges in the middle. Then click on UV Unwrap. It didn't work. Why? Because I skipped that edge. UV Unwrap, and here we go. Next, you come here. We need to select edges, UV Unwrap, move off. What about that one? Yeah. Let's select these ones. UV Unwrap. I think this time we need to select multiple seams. I'm going to select these ones. Then apply your rectangularize. UV Unwrap, double click, your rectangularize. These are looking just perfect. Let's bring up the big boy. This is the most important UV island we need to work on because this is the part that we will texture on. Whenever you have this kind of cylindrical bottles, just use interactive mapping tool, which is just perfect because it has this cylindrical projection option. Scale that down and adjust the size. It doesn't have to be perfect. Next up, I will rotate it because I want a symmetrical UV island. So I will just rotate it around like 90 degrees. Perfect. Let's move this off. I will hit U and I, then come over to the UV packing and pack this, then move them off again. I want to work on these islands specifically. I will open up the UV map. We will get huge amount of distortion. This is quite reasonable. So I will double click and grab UV transform tool. Then I will hover on that point until I see the scale tool. I will start to scale, then hold down shift to scale this on the y-axis only. Now my aim is to get these boxes as square as possible. Seems nice. Next up, let me move these up to see it better. As you can see, the distortion amount is incredible on these polygons. The reason is simple. If you look at the shape, it narrows toward the top, and that should be represented in the UVs. And this is not happening, as you can see. This is a very uniform and rectangularized islands. To work around this problem, I will simply select the points of these polygons. It seems like the problem starts with these points. Let me see it. So basically, there should be a match between the polygon and UV sizes. I will grab the UV transform tool and move these up to match the polygon and UV sizes. This one is looking okay. I will make a loop selection, deselect these points. UV transform tool, move these up. I'm just comparing the sizes. Deselect UV transform tool. Deselect UV transform. I know this is a very brute force way to work around this problem, but it is working. I will grab these one more time. I should not move these up because we are trying to match the sizes. Okay. Now everything is looking way better. This is a great way to have a single UV island when you have a non-uniform shape. Now let's pack this. UV packing, pack, move it down. It's going to make it easier to texture. Okay, what about the other ones? First, I want to align this. Select them all. Projection, and I'm sorry, transform, 90, apply. Select them all. UV packing, make sure that this option is enabled, and pack them. I can make it a little bit better by scaling these down. It's going to open up more space. And I'm not going to put textures on these UVs, so I will be okay by changing the sizes of these polygons or UVs. I will move these in, scale this down. You know what? I will scale that up as well. By the way, for example, if there is going to be a texture on the selected polygons, the UVs of the selected polygons could be larger than the unimportant ones. For example, if you take that UV island, I don't think in any scenario that this section will have textures on, so you can just simply scale that area down and open up space for the important parts. By the way, let me align that island and scale that up. Then, for example, that area, we get a nice alignment with that UV island, but if I just rotate it 90 degrees and scale it up, this is going to give us a larger UV island. If alignment is important, you can skip that process. And lastly, I will drop this one. What is that? Yeah, as you can see, this part will never be visible, so I can position this one wherever I want. Now let me show you how to export these textures, I'm sorry, UVs out to Photoshop. Let's go to the paint layout. By the way, we forgot the lids. Let's select them all. Also, I should change the normals, I mean reverse the normals. I will use this automatic UV tool. Maybe relaxation, yeah. We will be okay with these UVs. As long as you want to texture a specific part, you don't have to be really tedious. So this is what I am doing exactly over here. I will just use automatic tools. Now let's go to the paint mode. I'm going to open up the Paint 3D setup wizard, disable all except for the bottle. Say next. Turn this off because we just unwrap the UVs. Say next. I usually go with 4K. Say next. Oh, sorry, finish and close it. Okay, now let's open up the UV texture editor. Now we have a single layer, but we need a UV layer to see what's going on with these UVs. So I will grab the bottle first, then layer, and click on create UV mesh layer. Now we have the layer that we will use in Photoshop. File, save texture as, JPEG will be just perfect, and click on OK. I will call this bottle UV, save, say yes. Now I will see you in Photoshop. Here I am in Photoshop with the texture I just exported from Cinema 4D. And on top of that layer, I have this simple design based on these UVs. Now, all I need to do is export this texture out. Then I will see you in Cinema 4D again. I will simply go back to the standard layout. Let's use the same material from the body paint. I will just replace this texture. Source images, color, V4, say no. I will also increase the upper resolution to 2K. This is it. Now let's go into object modes. Turn on and off the sub-D to see if we are having any kind of texture distortion. It seems like no, everything is looking perfect, which means that the tutorial is over. This is going to be it from me today. I hope you did like the tutorial and learn something new. If you have any questions, just let me know anytime. You can also join up the Discord server of the channel. You can find the link below. Hope to see you in the next tutorial. Have a good day. Bye.